Good morning. Thank God it's Friday, June 20, 2025. And of course, we're on this site of Inside Nigeria, your breakfast on leadership television. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, your host on the program. On the first segment of the show, we do newspaper review, looking at what the national papers are saying this Friday, including Nigeria's most influential leadership. Leadership Friday's leading story. Of course, leadership has two main cover stories today. The outer one says food inflation. Governors move against illegal checkpoints, excessive taxes. The story runs on page 4 of the paper. Food inflation. Governors move against illegal checkpoints, excessive taxes. This is also a cover story in most of the papers we have on our lineup this morning. Moving ahead, Buni Oke's new minimum wage structure for workers. The story runs on page 19 of leadership. We move inside leadership for the other cover stories. Amid rising insecurity and forces committed to your safety, federal government assures Nigerians. 6,260 terrorists killed, 5,365 civilians rescued in 2 years, coming from Defense Headquarters. NAV destroys terrorist IED factory, gun trucks in Bono. CDS urges Nigerians to partner military, comments media. Kickers to the leading story on today's Leadership Friday, Nigeria's foremost Friday newspaper. Amid rising insecurity and forces committed to your safety, federal government assures Nigerians. 6,260 terrorists killed, 5,365 civilians rescued in 2 years, Defense Headquarters. NAV destroys terrorist IED factory, gun trucks in Bono. CDS urges Nigerians to partner military, comments media. Beside the masthead of the second leadership's masthead cover page, we have Oba of Benin receives looted 119 artifacts from Netherlands. The story runs on page 4 of the paper. Oba of Benin receives looted 119 artifacts from Netherlands. That takes us to the stories about the masthead of Leadership Friday. Unfair practices. FCCPC sees France, Belgium, Italy visa centers in Abuja. Federal government arraigned Senator Natasha over alleged defamation. The story runs on page 30 of Leadership newspaper. From the cover stories, we move to the page 3 of Leadership, where we have our stand. Today's stand is on new political parties and matters are rising. Let's take some excerpts from that stand. The recent disclosure that over 100 applications for new political party registrations are currently before the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is an intriguing as it is troubling. While the constitutional and legal provisions empowering Nigerians to form political associations remain sacrosanct, the motivations, timing, and potential consequences of this wave of applications demand sober reflection. Section 2222 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended alongside relevant provisions of the 2022 Electoral Act, clearly empowers the Commission to register political parties provided they meet laid down criteria. These include demonstrating national spread, internal democracy, structural functionality, and compliance with inclusiveness. We'll move towards the newspaper's view, and that is towards the conclusion. He says we also urge existing parties, especially the dominant ones, to undertake urgent internal reforms. The push for new parties is as much a symptom of internal dysfunction as it is a desire for choice. If political parties were run on clear principles with robust internal democracy, accountability, and room for new voices, there will be less incentive to create new ones. But let it be clear, more parties will not fix Nigeria, but better parties will. INEC must rise to the occasion. It must ensure that the party registration process is not reduced to another avenue for political racketeering. It must set and enforce high standards, standards that prioritize national unity, democratic depth, and institutional viability. These are excerpts from today's stand in today's Leadership Fridays newspaper. It says new political parties and matters are rising. From our stand, we move to the back page of the paper where we have conversation with Azu Sekweneh is the editor-in-chief of Leadership Newspaper Limited. And today's conversation is on the Iran-Israel war. He says, not the Iran we thought it was. What has changed in the Persian Gulf? That is the question he's asking today in his conversation. Not the Iran we thought it was. what has changed in the Persian Gulf. Of course, this is not a question. He's going to tell us in his conversation, is telling us what has changed in the Persian Gulf. From the quote, he says, how did mighty Iran lose its military footing so calamitously, so quickly? Of course, a question that is also on the lips of everyone across the world, because they fell so easily in the hands of Israel. Before we leave the back page conversation, we visit Ghana Must Go. Ghana Must Go news today says Makinde approves 63 billion naira to renovate government house. And of course, Ghana Must Go ask, he thinks he will get a term. I don't know, it's a question for Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, to answer. With that, we conclude the review of Leadership Friday newspaper this Friday. Don't forget to log into the website of Leadership for continuation of those stories. We move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is The Punch. The Punch, same leading story, is on the food crisis in the country. It says food inflation, NSA, 36 states launch joint action. Federal government governors agree on free flow of goods across states to dismantle checkpoints, harmonize levies. Ribadu heads interministerial panel, governors worry over World Bank funding delay. Kickers to the leading story on today's Punch newspaper. Food inflation, NSA, 36 states launch joint action. Federal government governors agree on free flow of goods across states to dismantle checkpoints, harmonize levies. Ribadu heads interministerial panel, governors worry over World Bank funding delay. Leading story, and it continues on page 2 of the paper. Beside the masthead of the Punch, Israel threatens Khamenei after Iranian missiles wound 240. The story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. APC PDP lock-ons as EFCC detains 15 ex-Plateau lawmakers. The story runs on page 7 of the Punch. And also with that, we conclude the review of front headline stories on the Punch newspaper this Friday, because it has a wraparound advert beneath those stories. Moving ahead, we move to the Nation newspaper. The Nation is on Tinubu's visit to Kaduna State yesterday. It says Kaduna rising again after overcoming insecurity, coming from the president. Outcomes of his visit to Kaduna State yesterday. President inaugurates projects. Kaduna will return Tinubu, says Abbas. Komne Umar back CFR. Tinubu, Kaduna rising again after overcoming insecurity. Leading story on today's The Nation newspaper, June 20, 2025. President inaugurates projects. Kaduna will return Tinubu, says Abbas. Komne Umar backs CFR. We'll just take excerpts from that leading story. Kaduna State is rising again from the ashes of insecurity, violence, and discord that permeated its past, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said yesterday. The president showered encomium on Governor Uba Sani, describing him as the architect of the peace that had been restored in the state after assuming the reins. He urged other governors to emulate his unique style of administration, particularly his focus on youth empowerment through skill development. The president believes such progressive initiatives targeted at securing the nation's future would be supported by the federal government. Excerpts from the leading story on today's The Nation newspaper. Moving towards the masthead, governors lead food distribution hurdles across states. The same leading story on the papers we read before it. Governors lead food distribution hurdles across states. Nigerians will enjoy good governance, in quotes. That story continues on page 4 of The Nation. And above the masthead of The Nation, green bond oversubscribed by 91.4 billion naira, 47.36 billion naira allotted. Defense headquarters steps up action against killers in Benue. Akumen leads space panel. The story continues on page 2 of The Nation. Defense headquarters steps up action against killers in Benue. Akumen leads space panel. Natasha's trial for defamation against Akpabio Bello begins September 23. Over 250,000 Nigerians are refugees in Libya, Cameroon orders. The story runs on page 4 of The Nation. Over 250,000 Nigerians are refugees in Libya, Cameroon orders. And with that, we conclude review of front headline stories on The Nation this Friday. For more, log into the website of The Nation newspaper. From The Nation, we bet at The Guardian. Guardian's leading story says violent attacks, peacetime killings questioned value of Nigerian life. Violent attacks, peacetime killings, questioned value of Nigerian life. Leading story, of course, a big story on pages 4 and 5 of The Guardian. Violent attacks, peacetime killings, question value of Nigerian life. Ibas alleges sabotage at budget defense as Senate reiterates democratic rule. Again, Tinubu inaugurates specialist hospital named after him in Kaduna. Tension in Benue as herdsmen graze farmlands use intercept bus. TCN accuses politicians saboteurs of vandalizing electricity towers. And towards the masthead of The Guardian, experts reveal 50 million Nigerians with sickle cell warn against stigma. 1,500 killed in over 100 tanker incidents, NEMA discloses. 6,260 terrorists killed, 5,365 civilians rescued in 2 years, says Defense Headquarters. Those are the headline stories on The Guardian newspaper this Friday. For more, don't forget to log into the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move to the last paper we have in our lineup this Friday, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun's leading story says federal government finalizes evacuation of Nigerians in Israel, Iran, ready to receive citizens deported from U.S. Leading story on today's Daily Sun newspaper. Federal government finalizes evacuation of Nigerians in Israel, Iran, ready to receive citizens deported from U.S. The story continues on page 27 of the paper. Beside the masthead of Daily Sun, alleged terrorism, DSS official links Nnamdi Kanu to EndSARS unrest. IPOB leader opts for no case submission as federal government closes case. The story continues on page 4 of Daily Sun. Alleged terrorism, DSS official links Nnamdi Kanu to EndSARS unrest. IPOB leader opts for no case submission as federal government closes case. Just like leadership, Oba of Benin receives 119 stolen artifacts from Netherlands, reveals plot to reloot them. The story continues on page 27 of Daily Sun. It's also on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on Daily Sun newspaper today, June 20, 2025. For continuation of these headline stories, don't forget to visit the website of Daily Sun. It's also on that note we conclude review of some select national newspapers on our segment newspaper review on our show Inside Nigeria this Friday. Don't forget to log into the website of Leadership for continuation of these headline stories, and don't also forget to join us on this same station for news on the hour. My name is Winifred Ugbebo. Thanks for joining us.